everyone, it's Meg and today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. I did this tag last year and I had so much fun doing it, and people have started to pop up with their videos for this tag in my subscription box already, and I've been watching a couple and it's just so exciting. It's just such a fun tag to kind of reflect on the first 6 months of the reading that you have done so far and kind of seeing your favourites and what you're also looking forward to reading for the rest of the year. And yeah, I did this last year like I said before. I will leave a link in the description if you want to go and check it out, but I feel like this is the first tag or like kind of video where I've repeated myself, apart from like obviously like series and recent reads videos and stuff. So I'm really excited to do it. I'm going to have to go back and watch my other video and see what my opinions were then, but yeah, I'm so excited to do this tag, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Question number 1 is your favourite book that you have read in 2020 so far, and I could not choose just one. I technically have 3, but I'm saving one of them for the second question. But these should be no surprise if you are a regular watcher of my videos. The first one obviously has to be Diary of a Confused Feminist by Kate Weston. I read the arc of this in January, beginning of the year, and I have not stopped raving about it since. This is such a wonderful story. It is absolutely hilarious. Kate used to be a stand-up comedian, so the humour is just perfect, and I really love the topics that this tackles as well. Obviously it is definitely light for like the humour and stuff, but it definitely has more of a deeper, more serious tone at the same time, and I really love the topics that this discusses. So if you have not picked this book up yet, I highly recommend. Even though our main character is in her last year of high school and she's 15 years old, I am in nearly my mid-20s and I enjoyed it so much. So I feel like this is a perfect book for all ages and it will definitely make you giggle. And then the second book that I have is The Lido by Libby Page. And Libby is an author that I discovered this year. I have read her other book, The 24-Hour Cafe. I absolutely love this book. I feel like I do like it a bit more than 24-Hour Cafe, but I'll have to reread it at some point because I did read her other book when I was in a reading slump. But this is a lovely book about community and friendship, female friendship specifically, and I just adore this book so much. I'm so glad I got to read it because I was a bit hesitant about whether I wanted to pick it up. But I'm so glad that I did, and I cannot wait to see what Libby comes out with next. Question number 2 is your favourite sequel of the year so far, and I don't really read sequels, but this year I think I've only read one sequel actually this year so far, but that is Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman. This is also another one of my favourite books of the year so far. I absolutely adore this graphic novel series, like so many people on BookTube, and I think this might be my favourite. I don't know, like first and second, like they're all amazing, but this just took it to another level, and I absolutely adored it when Nick and Charlie go to Paris on a school trip and you get to kind of see their friends more and them interact with their friends and see all the friendships blossom. And this book definitely takes a bit of a darker turn. It talks about mental health and specifically self-harm and eating disorders, so just be aware of that before going into this novel. But it was just absolutely wonderful. I adored it so much. I cannot wait for the 4th volume to come out next year, and we're getting a 5th volume now, which is even more exciting. So yeah, I definitely want to reread this soon. I'm hoping to reread it for the reading rush, which will be very exciting. But yes, I love this so much, and I cannot wait for the next volumes to come out next year. Question number 3 is new releases you haven't read yet but want to. And there are quite a few here, but I'm going to pick 2 or 3 off the top of my head. So the first one is A Theatre for Dreamers by Polly Sampson, and I discovered this book on a whim. I was just browsing Waterstones and I talked about it in a previous video of books that I'm excited to read, so I will also leave that in the description if you want to go and check that out. But this just seems amazing. It is a historical fiction novel set in Greece in the, I think it might be the 1930s, but I'm not 100% sure, maybe 1920s, and it is about this group of artists who like congregate there. It's kind of like a little community, and it just gives me serious Under a Dancing Star vibes by Laura Wood, which is why I want to read it. So that is one of them. And the next one is Clap When You Land by Elizabeth Azevedo. Obviously you lot should know she is one of my favourite authors of all time. I've read both of her previous books. The Poet X is definitely my favourite, and even though Clap When You Land, the concept doesn't excite me as much as the other two did, I'm still very much looking forward to reading it, and I really need to get my hands on it at some point very, very soon. And also Felix Ever After by Kaysen Calendar. This is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I am just so looking forward to reading this. I just know it is about a black trans boy, and I don't know much more apart from that. I've heard so many good things about it, and I really want to read it. I think it's going to be wonderful, and the cover is absolutely gorgeous as well, which is just like the icing on the cake. And then the next question is your most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. And I'm not like super caught up on releases, on like new releases coming up. I kind of know like a few months in advance or whatnot, but probably, like, I think I did this last year as well, but Alice Oseman's new books. Alice has 2 books coming out this year. She has Loveless, which is her next full-length novel. This comes out in July, on the 7th of July I believe, and this just sounds absolutely amazing. It has asexual and aro representation, which is something I've never read about, I hardly know anything about, and I know it's going to be absolutely wonderful, and I'm so looking forward to reading it. I'm so like freaking excited for this book. And also Nick and Charlie, which is a novella that Alice is coming out with. That comes out in August. I can't remember the specific date, but I know it comes out in August. I pre-ordered both of these, and I think this is about when Nick is getting ready to go off to university, and obviously Charlie's a year younger, so he's still in sixth form, and I think it's like where their relationship's going to go. And this is told in prose. Obviously it's not in a graphic novel form, even though I do believe there are a few graphic novel strips in here from what I have heard, but it's going to be interesting seeing this story that's basically a graphic novel put into like a normal novel form, so I'm really interested in that. And then also a poetry collection, which is Poems to Save the World With by Chris Riddell. I just pre-ordered this yesterday from when I'm filming it, and I have the other books from this collection, which are absolutely stunning. So they are Poems to Live Your Life By and Poems to Fall in Love With, and these are beautiful anthologies. Chris Riddell is a author, children's author and illustrator, and he basically chooses some of his favourite poems and puts them in collections and illustrates them. So he does the illustrations on the front, and then he does some illustrations for the poems, and I really enjoyed both of these. I got to go meet him last year, and I got these personally signed, and I've ordered a signed copy to add to my collection. So I'm really glad to the next instalment in this series. I don't know how many books they're going to be. I think there might just be 3, but there may be more, you never know. But yes, I'm really excited for that. I feel like it's going to be very relevant as well. The poems are included, and his illustrations are just wonderful. It just takes poetry reading experience to a whole new level. So those are some books that I'm looking forward to hopefully reading over the second half of the year. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment of the year, and for this it was quite obvious for me, and that is Nothing by Annie Barrows. And even though the concept of this doesn't sound very exciting, this book, it still intrigued me, and also because Annie Barrows was one of the co-authors of the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, which is one of my favourite books of all time. But unfortunately this was just like nothing. The title describes the book. It is basically about these 2 teenagers who are best friends, and they basically document their lives to show how boring their lives are, even though apparently their lives aren't so boring anymore. It was just really boring. I listened to it on audiobook. I wasn't a fan of the audiobook. I found it confusing. I wasn't a fan of the characters. It was boring. So I was really gutted because I really wanted to like one of Annie's books and see what her writing was like, obviously in a different format. But yeah, wasn't a fan, unfortunately, which I'm really sad about because I really wanted to enjoy this book. Question number 6 is your biggest surprise, and for me that probably has to be The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. This is a book that has got a lot of hype on BookTube. It is an adult romance, and I was interested in it. I was a little bit sceptical, but I was interested, so I picked up the audiobook and I absolutely adored it. I loved the characters in this. I thought they were absolutely wonderful. I love the story, I love how it wrapped up. Just, I loved everything about this, and it's my first adult romance where it's kind of steamy, and I probably couldn't have handled any more like smut level than what was in this book, but it was just absolutely wonderful. It was one of those books that just made me like smile and feel all lovely inside when I was listening to it, and it was just such a great book, and I love kind of just everything about it. It was great. I really, really enjoyed it. Definitely recommend if you have not picked it up so far. Question number 7 is your new favourite author, whether it is a debut author or an author that is new to you. And for me, I have to choose Libby Page. So like I said earlier, I've read both of her books. I read The 24-Hour Cafe at the beginning of the year. I really enjoyed it, and this is about 2 waitresses who work in a 24-hour cafe in London. They are both creatives trying to make their way in the world, and it is basically a slice of life about their lives and also some of the customers' lives who come into this cafe over 24 hours. I really enjoyed this. I would have enjoyed it a bit more if I hadn't read it in a reading slump, which is a shame. And then The Lido is about a Lido in Brixton, and it's basically about the community around this Lido because it is being threatened to close, and about our main character Kate, who is a journalist covering the story of this closure, and Rosemary, who is an old lady who has basically swam at the Lido nearly every year since she was a child. And I adore these books so much, and I love Libby's writing. Her writing is something like I've never read before. It is so refreshing and different, and I wouldn't say beautiful, but I just love the way that she describes things. It's so original and different, and you get to fall in love with her characters. These are definitely more character-driven books, especially The 24-Hour Cafe, but she creates characters that you will fall in love with and wonderful atmospheres, and they are just absolutely wonderful. I cannot wait to see what Libby comes up with next because I just adore her work so much. And if you've not picked her books up yet, I highly recommend, especially if you are introducing yourself to more adult novels. These are great places to start. I just adore them and cannot recommend them enough. Next question is your favourite fictional crush, and when I was first planning my answers for this video I didn't think I had one, but then I remembered Michael from Kiss Quotient, again by Helen Huang. He is such a great character. Like, he is so lovely, he's so understanding and caring for Stella, who is one of our other main character, and he really undermines himself. He just feels like he's not good enough to do anything. He has to protect and look after his family. That has always come first for him, and he's just absolutely wonderful. So he's probably the answer for this video because he is just like an absolutely wonderful human being. Question number 9 is your new favourite character, and I've read some amazing characters in here. I have to mention quickly Rosemary in The Lido. I keep mentioning this book in this video, but I love Rosemary, and I started to figure out that I quite like reading about older characters in novels. I discovered that when I read Where the Light Gets In by Lucy Dillon, that there's something that kind of draws me into it. I guess it's maybe their stories and kind of their outlook on life and all that sort of thing. But I'm also going to choose Vicky from Dangerous Alliance by Jenna Key Cohen, as Vicky is just a great main character. This is set in the 19th century in England, and she is a girl who goes everything against what a woman or young lady is meant to be during the time that this book was set. She helps her father around the estate, she wears her father's breeches, she's not afraid to get mucky and go gallivanting across the countryside. She doesn't want marriage, or at least she doesn't want marriage during when this book is set. It's not something that she wants. She isn't afraid to stand up for herself. She is very educated and she loves to read, and she, like I said, she just goes against the grain of everything that a woman is meant to be in the 1900s, and I just adore her about that. She's kind of a bit of a rebel who wants to go against the norm, and that's what I really love about her. I love characters that kind of want to go against what they are meant to be, they are expected to be and to do. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I don't cry at books. I've never cried at a book. I probably got quite emotional, maybe slightly teared up at a book once, but in general I don't cry at books. Again, I'm sorry I keep mentioning this book, but it seems to cover most of the answers. Lido by Libby Page, the ending of this got me a little bit emotional, but apart from that, I don't have any books that made me cry. It takes a lot for a book to make me cry, and I haven't had a book that has done that yet, so yeah. No answer for this question really. Kind of the Lido, but you know, not really. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy, and I have to go for The Upside of Falling by Alex Light. I did a reading vlog for this book specifically, so I will link that in the description again if you want to go and check it out. But this was such a wonderful book. I got it in a subscription box, and this is just a cute, fun, fluffy romance. It was something that I really needed at the time. It was a quick read. It had me smiling all the way through. I could not stop reading it, and I feel like it is just the perfect pick-me-up book when you are feeling a bit down or you just want something lighter to read. It is absolutely wonderful, and it definitely made me smile, and also it includes bacon in it, so that obviously made me even happier when I was reading it. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book you have bought or received so far this year, and I have two for this question. The first one is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. Number one, the cover is absolutely stunning, and then you go under the dust jacket and there is a gorgeous, like, I love it when there's stuff under the dust jacket, like gold foil embossing, and it has flowers. It has feathers, I nearly forgot the name of them, under there, which is absolutely gorgeous. And then I also have a poetry collection, which is The World's Wife by Carol Ann Duffy, and I've hardly read this, but look at that, like look at the foiling. It has like beautiful patterns in beautiful foiling all the way along, and it is just absolutely stunning. And the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And I want to try and whittle down my physical TBR. Probably not going to happen by the time July rolls around because it's my birthday and also it's the reading rush. So like, you girls going to be buying some books. But I have 3 physical books here, and I'm going to also mention one that I haven't got, which is a classic. So the first one that I have is Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins. This just seems like a really cute, fun royal book, and I've been dying to read it for ages. And also I really want to read it this year so then I can get to the companion novel, which is Her Royal Highness, because I'm even more excited for that. So this is one of them. And also Mr. Darcy's Diary by Amanda Grange, which is a Pride and Prejudice retelling from the perspective of Darcy through his diary. And I've had my eye on this for ages, so I finally bought it a couple of months ago, so I'm hoping to get to this at some point in the summer, hopefully July or August. And then a fairly recent one, which is The Diva Rules by Michelle Visage, which I only recently required for free because we have a little book area in our village where people have been like swapping books and all that sort of thing, obviously during the time that we are in, and I found this for free, and I've been dying to get this book for ages because I love Michelle. She is an absolutely wonderful human being, and I'm so excited to read this. So that is the third book I want to get to. And the book that I don't currently own but I really want to get and read is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I saw the film for this book at the beginning of the year. I fell in love with it. It is just absolutely wonderful. I never thought I would want to read this book because I have always associated the story with the 2000 film adaptation, which I'm personally not a fan of, but I absolutely love the 2019 adaptation, and now I want to read the book. And there is a beautiful hardbound edition which is just like the one that Jo has in the film, which is, I guess it's like the film edition of this book, and I really want to get that. So yeah, that's one that I definitely want to get to by the end of the year. So that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and seeing like where my reading is up to for the first half of the year. I've read some really wonderful books so far, and I've got some even more wonderful books to look forward to for the second half of the year, and I cannot wait to read them. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and your opinions on them. I would love to know as always. And also, if you have done this tag, leave a link in the comments to your video so I can go and watch it, because I absolutely love these videos and I just love seeing everybody's reading progress and some books that I've really enjoyed and some books that they are also really looking forward to reading for the second half of the year. If you like this video then please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more bookish videos from me then make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell icon so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. As always, I will leave links to my social media along with the links to my Goodreads in the description down below for you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you again very soon. Bye!